Hi, welcome to Positively Sparking, a podcast on internet marketing, online productivity and business. Today I'm with Dave Groom, founder of HRF Media, experts in SEO and Google Analytics. Hey Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Phil, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Excellent stuff.
So Dave, this is, despite being a web marketing podcast, this is the first one we've ever done exclusively focused on SEO.
Oh, brilliant. That's a good thing.
It's been a long time coming.
Excellent.
So for those of us who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. I'm Dave Groom. Basically do digital marketing services. I'm specialising in SEO and analytics for different businesses and agencies.
Two aspects that are perhaps in the more technical side of digital marketing there, Dave, SEO and analytics. So tell us a bit about how you came into those two focuses.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was always interested in this kind of area in some ways. I thought I was going to be more in the sort of web developer role in the earlier days. But yeah, I basically got more interested in the search engine optimization side, probably around college time, actually.
And obviously that's not too long ago, Dave, sounding by your youthful voice.
Yeah, it probably is a bit further along than I think in some ways, but it's been good there. I mean, I was always into sort of making websites and things, and then it's like a whole new world of, like with affiliate marketing as well. That was an interesting element too.
Absolutely. And do you know, Dave, I actually started out in SEO myself, in web marketing, before I got into pay-per-click, and really before pay-per-click even existed.
Right.
So, back in those early days, SEO was all about link building. So what has changed since then?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, it has actually changed quite a bit, really. I mean, back in the early days, SEO was more kind of, ranking websites for certain keywords, and it was actually a lot more simpler, I suppose, in some ways. It's sort of back in the days where PageRank was obviously more of a sort of focus in a way, and these sort of old school link building methods, they kind of focused on just getting a lot of links from different sites and sort of pointing it towards the site they were trying to rank. And generally, at that sort of time, that kind of worked.
Well, I remember those days, and it working, as you say, and link building was really all about quantity back then rather than quality. So do you think that's one of the changes that has happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think after a while, when that became more sort of popular, it kind of became a manipulation of the system almost. And that sort of, led to like Google's web spam team basically taking a more of a stand against the sort of variations of, you might be familiar with like the white hat, black hat and grey hat SEO, and things like that, really. So I think probably from that sort of time, it kind of evolved more. And then obviously back in around, I think it was 2012, people started like penalising websites for using these types of techniques, which kind of violated their guidance.
Yes, the days of Google Panda, as it became known.
Yeah.
Which is a very cute name for something that wasn't very cute that happened to lots of businesses built on the old practices of SEO. Do you think the web has become a better place post-Panda?
I think people are probably thinking more about how they approach their sort of digital marketing, which is obviously a good thing. But yeah, I think it's probably got better in some ways, but then there was a kind of time where people were doing more like guest posting and trying to sort of almost like justify getting links. But again, that was also like a bad thing also as well. But yeah, it kind of varies, to be honest.
Sure. I mean, I find that Google results show better results, really, post-Panda. I think you can definitely say that. And back in those early SEO days, I had a couple of affiliate sites myself, which are doing really well until Panda came along. So
Yeah.
I was one of those people that was maybe purified by the whole
Right.
Google Panda experience. I was doing almost anything I could to make sites rank. And
Yeah.
then the change in SEO changed me. I suppose I
Yeah.
grew up a bit as well, and I got into other things like pay-per-click and different forms of marketing. But
Sure.
certainly today, the way I approach web marketing is far more holistic and from a good point in the soul, Dave, as perhaps it used to be all those
Yeah.
years ago.
Definitely. I mean, I do think the sort of algorithms they use have sort of become much more expensive now. There are hundreds of different things there as well. But yeah, I do think the results have got better, and there's been a big shift in the types of results we're seeing, and there's so many different factors now. Based on your actual original query, could depend which path it takes to bring you to those results. But yeah, I would say it's definitely improved.
And there's so many new things there now, isn't there? So, what one question I was going to ask you is, what is the
Yeah.
difference between local and conventional national SEO?
Yeah, no, that's a good one actually. Essentially, I mean, the whole SEO process is a very complex one, as you probably know. And it's kind of important, to use the SEO to reach the right people and the types of markets you're trying to attract. So the local SEO side, as the name suggests, is kind of geared towards the local users within, say, a geographic or region. So essentially, when you type in something, so like you're looking for a coffee shop where you're based, or you're like a local service, you increasingly get now what's known as the sort of local three pack in the search results. So you often get like a map come up, and you'll have the individual listings below that as a sort of priority. So yeah, that is kind of more the focus with the local SEO side. It's kind of basically getting more exposure for that particular area you're trying to target. Whereas the sort of conventional sort of organic SEO is kind of more aimed at sort of like a national level, so and sometimes the international level. And again, the keywords you're targeting here doesn't necessarily have to be associated with a local business. So it could be like more generic and broader terms that are sort of related to your businesses or services.
Interesting stuff. And so would you say that with the changes in algorithms and the more extensive checks that perhaps Google is making on your site now,
Yeah.
that if you are a local company, there's maybe less point going for national SEO. Would you say that? Or is it still possible for a locally based and locally focused company to rank nationally for a certain keyword?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it depends probably on the type of sector they are, and whether it's like an e-commerce business or whether you have products to sell and things like that. But for general, just getting more of your brand name itself out there, local SEO is definitely crucial, because sometimes a lot of people when first engage with their search, it's often on the mobile, or they're just looking for stuff, researching online. And if you're not coming up, and you might have lived in a place for a year or more, and you might have even realised there was a place there. So
Sure.
yeah, a lot of people, I think, probably could benefit really from the local SEO side.
And so, given that point you just made, lots of people could benefit from local SEO. What would you advise for a new website setting out into business in 2017? What would be the first 3 or 4 things you would suggest they do?
Yeah, I mean, when you're like building a brand new site, it's obviously crucial to get things right, really. But yeah, I mean, just thinking about this, I mean, I think for like a new website, probably the basics would be a good starting point. So the on-site technical SEO, for instance, making sure your website can be easily crawled by search engine crawlers, and make sure it's can be the visibility as high as it can possibly be. So yeah, it's kind of getting all the basics in place, I think, first. Focusing obviously on local SEO as well is another good one. And obviously thinking about your web page structures. So, the way you're structuring the page and how you would expect someone to find that page, actually. So, it's kind of getting those things in place first, I think, would be a good practice, I think, when you're starting out a brand new website.
So, Dave, it sounds there like you're thinking very much like an algorithm. Right? That's something you've learned to do over the years of doing SEO.
Yeah.
Are there any resources that you know of that will help people look at their site from an algorithm point of view rather than from a human point of view?
Yeah, I mean, there are sort of various tools you can use to sort of get an idea on things like that. I mean, are you referring mainly to the sort of like a tool you would use to say crawl the website or something like along those lines?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's things like there's actually a good service called SEMrush, which is a good tool to use that actually crawls your website and what we basically identify any errors and warnings of things that could actually affect your visibility in search. Another good one is there's also a free version of it, is Screaming Frog. That's the application name. And that's a very good system to use. That will basically go along, crawl your website, and bring back certain pages it finds that might have errors on them. Or if you've got broken links, for example, things like that. So yeah, those are good ones to sort of start off with if you're interested to know more about how a search engine would approach the website.
I always wonder where Screaming Frog got its name. SEMrush or SEMrush, as I call it, some of the people do. It makes sense, search engine marketing. And I think it was based in Russia, wasn't it? So the Rush part I always thought came from that reference. But Screaming Frog is just, could be anything. Could be a game, could be a kind of Shrek offshoot movie, anything like that.
Yeah, I was like, it's definitely a name that stood out over the years, I think.
So do you believe that SEO is more or less powerful than it was before?
That's quite an interesting one. I mean, I think in some ways it's probably more powerful than it was. Main reason for that is probably just it's got so complicated in a way. So I suppose the power comes in of the understanding of how SEO works and the sort of historic line, as we were, to where we are now today. So, for instance, if you were like starting this for the first time and you maybe found like an old post about how to do link building many years ago, those sorts of techniques will probably affect you quite badly now. So it's kind of probably knowing what to use, when to use it, and how to approach things, really.
Which is, I think, a point relevant to almost every web marketing practice out there. Because the internet's almost been around for half a generation, hasn't it? Half my life, the internet has existed. And you can find, pay-per-click tips, which are so outdated. Sometimes the features aren't even there anymore. Or in other senses, the features have been so outgrown and extended into something completely different that they wouldn't benefit you too much. And SEO, I'd say, is even more that way because the advice on SEO goes right back to the early 2000s, doesn't it? And the origin. And really the coming of Google. Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when you consider things like the old school sort of page ranking structure.
Yeah.
Like you probably find posts now, why isn't my page rank been updated on my site? And because it obviously ended several years ago, that's obviously not going to ever be a factor again, really.
Very true. Yeah.
So things like the old sort of school methods, I think, would probably be quite outdated now.
And so you're thinking there about how having some kind of SEO assistance is more important nowadays because there is so much information to mine through. But what would you say about how a good organic ranking is that more or less powerful than it was 10 years ago?
Yeah, I would probably say it's more powerful now in the ways that it could be displayed in some ways. Because obviously you've got so many different ways now you can actually, get a result in the search engine, really. I mean, yeah, there is so many different ways you can actually appear there now in the results. I think that is definitely an important factor.
Okay, and would you say that's even the case with people like me putting adverts above all the organic rankings and feeding in our shopping feeds and having our normal pay-per-click ads followed by the shopping ads, and then we get to the number one organic ranking?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where it sort of comes into how much it's actually changed in a way with the organic listing. But yeah, I would say that obviously like the real estate of what you're actually seeing in the display there, that's obviously been reduced or been pushed further down the list, as it were, by sort of like obviously paid search, and sort of other factors as well, like when you've got like the local listings as well. So unless you're in that top spot on one of those free listings for a local result, you're going to have to just sort of click further, sort of view more pages, basically. So in a way, it's not harder in that sense. But yeah, I think it's even more of an issue of making sure you are visible than you've got actually a chance of appearing in that search.
And I guess there's always the argument that if you do both, if you do pay-per-click and SEO, then you can occupy 2 or 3 positions on the first page rather than one.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, one of the great things with sort of like brand searches in particular is the different ways you can sort of dominate the search with, like you said, with the paid search, with the local listing, with the organic listing, site links, images as well. There's various different ways which you can get a good kind of display there for the sort of types of queries you're targeting.
Great stuff. So Dave, when do you think it's right for a company to work with a SEO professional like yourself versus learning to do SEO in-house for themselves?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's quite a common question, actually, in some ways, from people I've sort of dealt with. Typically, if the actual space has the sort of capacity and knowledge to sort of move SEO in-house, then I think that's certainly an option. And obviously, training can be put in place for, to get people up to speed with the latest things. I think what overwhelms a lot of people when they attempt to do this is basically not having a dedicated resource for, like that particular type of digital marketing. So, it can be very time consuming as well. And that's probably one of the main factors why people prefer to sort of have a set entity, as it were, for this particular type of work.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I've noticed, Dave, is a lot of the time when a company advertises an SEO role, what they actually mean is a digital marketing role. But because SEO is the oldest term we have in digital marketing, it's often used to mean everything. So there are so many times, probably 70% of all SEO roles that I see advertised, they'll say must be proficient in AdWords, must have a great understanding of Google Analytics, must be competent on social media. And whilst all those are related to SEO, they are not SEO as a definition. They are something else. And I think that's that whole area where digital marketing is now so many things that we sometimes, I think we do find that the job market out there will call something one thing when really they mean something else.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I've actually noticed similar things like that when I was working back in London. The different kind of, like you said, the roles which are being advertised, they seem to be including more and more elements of other, departments, as it were, from before, where you'd have all these dedicated departments separately. It includes more and more roles now, I think, or it's covering a broad aspect of the digital marketing as well as the SEO.
Definitely so. Definitely so. So, Dave, when you're working with a company, let's say they choose to work with you as an outside professional, What do you need from that company to begin making strides for them within SEO?
Yeah, I think the main aim is probably access to the website as a key thing. Might seem a bit obvious, that one actually, but it's surprising, how difficult it can be sometimes just to get the access to the website. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing, because to be able to influence the technical changes, you will need to have some kind of experience with the sort of web developer side, or at least be able to provide technical documentation to the web developer. So yeah, I think that's a key thing there, and probably just embracing all the change and the sort of recommendations that you can get to sort of benefit the site.
And so what might those be? What kinds of things would a new company who are starting out on SEO for the first time, what might they be doing at your request?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, most of it, for a local SEO client, it would be more, sort of building up the authority of their website. And possibly, if they've already got an editorial calendar, for instance, in place, trying to align these activities with that. But yeah, it's kind of, just trying to sort of see really how we can fit in and sort of merge all the departments together, as it were, to sort of create the overall business objective.
So you're suggesting there content and content marketing and ensuring there's a consistent flow of new content to the site.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a common thing we actually see with especially with blogs or any sort of publications where they have a channel to sort of display brand messages, or talk about articles which are relating to their services. Having more frequent content on the site is definitely a good thing, but also just kind of creating sort of content partners and actually having more of a voice in the industry you're looking to target.
Okay, good stuff. So people are going to be writing more, having sore arms because they're writing so much with a pen. Is me thinking people write with a pen these days. They don't. They write with a keyboard.
Sure.
So Dave, what do you think will happen in the next 12 months in the world of SEO? Any insight you can give us on what might be coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be quite an interesting one, really. I think we're going to see a lot more voice search and digital assistants appearing. That's quite a key one, I think. With the way it's changing in search, voice search is actually going to be more prominent, I think, with the listings.
So tell us a bit about that, because that's quite fascinating, isn't it? So this is the idea that we're on our iPhone, we call up Siri, and we ask where the nearest pizza takeaway is to us, or something of that kind. Is that what you're thinking?
It. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of rethinking almost the way you would actually search for something if you're speaking, because you don't necessarily, if you're searching online and typing stuff in, you'll probably approach things differently to what you would if you were just saying it. So that's quite an interesting one, because I think there was a recent post I read, and they're saying about 1 in 5 searches already come from voice queries. So if you can make sure you're sort of in line there for when that sort of comes in more, because it's definitely going to be on the increase next year, that will be put you in good stead.
So how do we do that? How do we get our website optimized and ready for voice search?
Well, that's the thing. It's still quite a new thing in some ways, but it's mainly just sort of making sure all the fundamental things for the website are there. Going on to other things that could be important, it sort of comes in with the user experience of the site as well. So I think, you probably find that all these sort of things will tie in together. Like, for instance, AI and machine learning is another one, which will probably sort of tie in with the voice search. And also, you've probably seen this already, like when you get featured snippets and quick answers. So if people generally ask questions now, and you display an enhanced result for the first listing. So ensuring like you're optimized for those type of things, you could pick up quite a lot of traffic, just from having that kind of thing in place.
And do you think that with new advances online like that, certain industries jump on them quicker than others? So, travel, I've always found, is an industry which is at the forefront of where digital marketing is. Whereas something more traditional like engineering might take another 5-6 years to get to that point.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that is quite a prominent one, actually. Certain industries definitely will have a quicker impact, I think, to adopt these approaches. Especially I've worked in the travel industry as well before, and those in particular, they are kind of at the forefront of the latest thing almost.
Definitely so. So all of us need to get ready for voice search. From that point.
And also, I mean, you've probably heard of like the mobile first index as well.
Okay, so tell us a bit more about that. What does that mean?
So that's basically in probably next year, it's probably more likely that Google's going to be putting like mobile first over, say, like the desktop results and other things. So whereas it's predominantly, desktop results and things like that at the moment, it might sort of overtake it with the mobile first index. That could be a good one. So in other words, anything, if your website looks good on mobile or tablet and things like that, you're going to be in a better position than someone who's only really optimized for like a laptop or desktop environment.
Okay, got you. Yeah, so a different, as really you were saying about voice search, just a different experience and a different way of using the internet for the mobile user.
It's basically just not getting left behind, really, in some ways. Just being sort of like aware of all these different ways you can get found and you're likely to get found in the future. So if the quicker you can adopt to this, the better, really.
Great stuff. I've actually got a question that's just come in as we're talking on the podcast from someone who is a regular listener, and they've asked, does social media affect SEO? And I think what they're asking there is, if we have a strong social media presence, would it improve our SEO directly?
Right, that's an interesting one, actually, because obviously social does have a big impact, I would say, on any of the search results, really. So I would say, it's kind of, I think they work better together. So I would say, it's kind of one of those things, like for instance, if you're searching for a topic that's hot at the moment, then obviously you get like a Twitter sort of like snippet appear there with some of the things that people are talking about in the search.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably, working together on both of those, it can be quite an interesting one.
Interesting stuff. And so, Dave, great tips today. Where can we find you online if we want to know more about SEO and about you?
I've actually got a new website coming out at the end of the month. It's hrefmedia.co.uk. I do have a LinkedIn profile as well. That sort of has a bit of information. That's just at David Groom. And that's pretty much most of it, really. I do have a Twitter account as well, but I haven't actually done that many tweets for a while.
A busy man.
Yes.
And final question from me: what does P stand for in DP Groom?
Oh, it's actually my surname, middle name. It's David Paul Groom, basically.
There we go, David Paul Groom, a nice name.
Yeah, I've actually had for quite a long time actually now, so it became almost like my brand in my youth, I suppose. So literally everything was that particular little alias. I had that name, on domains, and that was my email system for a while.
So there we go. That helps us. There's lots of David Grooms out there, I'm sure, but not so many DP Grooms.
No, that's it.
So, Dave, it's been great having you on the podcast today. Any final message you'd like to give everybody?
Thanks for having me today. And if you're interested in any of the things we've discussed, or you need to find out any more about SEO, feel free to get in touch.
My name is Phil Byrne, and I'd like to thank you so much for listening today. I hope you got something really good to take away from this week's episode for you or your business. And you know what? I'd like to give you something more. In fact, I'd like to give you a whole free web marketing pack full of all my latest and best ideas on how you can take your business forward positively online. Download your pack at positivesparks.co.uk/pack. And most of all, guys, look forward to seeing you again next week.